Some sounds are easy to explain. Creaking floors, humming pipes, distant footsteps. But what if those sounds don't come from outside? What if they come from inside the walls? Tonight's story is about a girl who moved into a quiet apartment and discovered she wasn't alone. Not because of what she saw, but because of what she heard. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and listen carefully. Because sometimes what hides behind the walls is just waiting for someone to notice. Hi, I'm here. Welcome to my channel. Story: The Knocking Inside. Maya had just moved into her first apartment. Small, clean, and strangely cheap. Top floor, end of the hall. She liked that it was quiet until the third night. That's when the knocking started. Knock, knock. She froze. It wasn't the door. It was coming from behind the wall, the one next to her bed. At first, she thought it was the neighbors. She tapped back. 2 soft knocks. The wall stayed silent. She shrugged it off. Old building, pipes, rats, maybe. But the next night, it happened again. Same wall, same time. 2:41 a.m. Knock, knock, knock. This time, slower, stronger. She got up, pressed her ear to the wall. Nothing. Silence. But when she stepped away, another knock came, like it had waited until she moved. She told the landlord. He laughed. That wall. There's no apartment on the other side. It's just concrete. An old storage no one uses anymore. That night, Maya barely slept. She kept hearing faint scratching, like fingernails dragging across drywall. And then a whisper, so faint she almost thought she imagined it. Let me out. Her blood turned cold. She stared at the wall, heart racing. Was someone trapped? The next day, she opened the maintenance hatch in the hallway. It led to the storage area behind her wall. Dust, cobwebs, old furniture. Annoyed. And one thing she didn't expect. A mattress. Dirty, torn, with deep scratches on the wall beside it. Someone had been there. Recently, she went to the landlord again. He got nervous, said no one had keys to that room. It had been locked for years. She showed him the hatch. He locked it, said it was just some squatter, nothing to worry about. That night, Maya locked her bedroom door, put her phone on record. At 2:41 a.m., she woke to the sound of something shifting behind the wall, and then a voice, clear right behind her head. You saw my bed? Now come lie in it, she screamed. Ran to the living room, called the police. They searched the storage area. Nothing. No mattress, no scratches, just dust. They said she was dreaming. But when she got home from work the next day, the hatch was open, and on her pillow was a single black handprint. I don't know about you guys, but my walls have been awfully creaky lately. Maybe it's just the weather, or maybe there's someone trying to get out. This story was inspired by a place I used to live. I had an apartment on the top floor. The middle of the night, I'd always hear what sounded like scratching behind the walls. Never looked into it. After hearing this story, I might start wondering what's behind the walls a little bit more. When I was reading through your comments, there was one response to my last video that really stood out to me. User said, my grandfather's house has this creepy sound that we can't figure out. He lives alone, and he's very hard of hearing, so he sleeps with his radio on all night. We think the sound comes from the vents, but we can't figure out where it's coming from. He doesn't hear anything. If you're watching this, please tell me what the sound is. Maybe it's just the house settling. Maybe there's something else hiding in the vents. And while we're talking about hiding places, let's move on to our next story. This one comes from a Redditor. I was moving into my first apartment, so I decided to stay in the moving truck while I called my dad for help unpacking. My dad picks up and I say, hey Dad, can you help me move stuff in? He says, sure. What do you need help with? I tell him I need help bringing in a bunch of boxes and ask him to bring his dolly or hand truck. Great, I'll be there in 10, he says. I hang up and I call my new neighbor to ask if she could watch my dog while I go get my dad. She agrees and says, no problem. How long will you be gone? Oh, just 10 minutes or so. She says, okay then. And then I hear her scream, oh my God, as she runs inside. I look over and see my dad walking towards the apartment with a dolly. It was a hand truck. I run over and yell, Dad, you scared the crap out of me. And he looks at me confused. What did I do? Then he notices the hand truck and says, oh yeah, you said you needed some help moving stuff in. Yeah, well, I did, but not 5 minutes ago. That was my neighbor. You scared the shit out of her. Well, I guess I'll knock and apologize. No, it's okay. I'll go apologize. But as I turn around, I hear my dad clear his throat and say, "So you have any tips on how to stop a woman from hanging up on you when you're retrying to sell her a timeshare? If you've ever tried to sell a timeshare, I'm sure you know exactly what that's like." One Reddit user gave their own experience with trying to connect with a telemarketer. One time I was homesick from work and lying down trying to sleep. Phone started ringing and I picked it up. A man asked if he was speaking to Mrs. So-and-so. I asked him how he got this number, and he responded, "It's none of your business." So I said, "Well, I'm not Mrs. So-and-so, and you should remove my number from your list." The man then proceeded to try and sell me a timeshare, and I played along. I asked him questions about the resort and the amenities and the return policy. And then right before he was about to ask me for my credit card number, I said, "So would this be a good place for a guy my age to stay?" "Oh, yes, ma'am. Our resorts are frequented by many young people around your age." "Oh, that's too bad. I'm 70 years old." "Ah, sorry, ma'am. Let me connect you to one of our specialists." He put me on hold. Then the most nasally voiced woman ever got on the phone. And before she could even say hello, I said, "Hello there, Ethel. My name is Jane," she responded. "Hello there, Jane. How may I help you?" continued. "You may not know me, but I know you. You're working for Mr. Burns, aren't you?" "Well, actually, I know nothing about that, Miss Jane. I impersonated Agent Smith from The Matrix. There's no spoon. I'm sorry, but I believe there may be a misunderstanding." "What kind of spoon are you referring to? Never mind. I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually." She hung up on me. When I was younger, I used to get calls from these telemarketers all the time. But now I just get calls from Amazon saying my account has been hacked. But instead of answering the phone, I just hit block. Actually, you know what? Forget that. I have a better idea. I'm going to call them. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave us a like and subscribe for more horrifying tales you woe and want to hear in the dark. And if you want more scary stories, there's a link to my podcast in the description. Also, thanks to these names for supporting this channel. If you would like your name to appear on the screen, you can support the channel and check out the links in the description. Until next time, don't forget, you're all gonna die.